He's the former president and publisher of the Sun Herald, and now he's on the radio. Welcome to Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome to Coast View, the show that celebrates the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi such a great place to live. And I'm hoping that everyone's, hunkered down and got their emergency plans ready to go. And I've got Paige Roberts, who is the executive director of the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce, with me today. Paige, I saw this thing the other day. It said it's a guy in 2021 talking, and he says the only rule is we cannot talk about 2020. Does that ring true to you?
Sure. The sort of a taboo year we're experiencing that we may never want to mention again, except to learn lessons, because remember, we did have a similar year like this in 2005, and we do need to mind our lessons.
And we've learned so many amazing lessons. I mean, it seems like these stories around the resiliency being part of our DNA comes up, and at least every other show. I mean, it really does.
Absolutely.
You're a resilient director. You're actually in your office for the first time. I mean, you reminded me, you were outdoors once, you were at the Performing Arts Center once, you went to a family funeral, unfortunately.
Yeah, in Indiana.
Up in the Midwest, and you were on the side of the road with corn in the background.
In a cornfield. That's, yeah.
So
that's me.
Yeah. So we've, I've had this. I mean, it's I think one of the best connections I've had to coastal Mississippi on this show is talking with the chamber executives. From Tish Williams over in Hancock County
to Adele,
you here, folks in Ocean Springs, of course, the Dell Lions. I mean, I've tried to stay, because you really do have a good sense of what's going on in the business community and what's people's temperature these days. So how are things going for you?
Sure. And I think that's very true, Ricky, that we do have our pulse on the community, and obviously commerce, it's in our name, it's what we do, but also everything that's tied into commerce. And so we work with government and public policy issues. We work with community and economic development issues, as well as trying to help business owners maneuver their way through this maze of assistance that is out there, but can be so perplexing that people give up. And doesn't that remind us of post-Hurricane Katrina during the response and recovery? You get to a point emotionally where you're just like, forget it. But we've got those of us at the Chambers of Commerce, as you mentioned, across the coast, are here to pick everybody up and get them rejuvenated and back on track and tapping into their own resilience.
So you do a lot of listening.
I do.
What do you hear? Tell me.
Well, it's very interesting. You should ask me that right now, because I have had a couple meetings just recently with Black business owners, but I suspect what I'm learning in these meetings transverses all business owners, and that is a lot of them have applied for the Back to Business Mississippi grant, which we know is one that has had some trouble, a slowdown, if you will, getting the money out. Only about 1% of the funding has been distributed. And what we're finding is through our work alongside Senator Wiggins, Bryce has been helping us with this, that the organization, the MDA, is sending emails and they're landing in people's junk mail. And so we've just simply been saying, hey, check your spam and your junk mail folder. And sure enough, there's something in there. Now, it isn't saying you've been awarded XYZ yet, but it is saying we've received it, we're reviewing it, and we'll get back to you. So it's something as seemingly simple as that. Check your junk mail, because this is the bucket, by the way, that you can get up to $25,000 for your business if you qualify, and they just increased that amount to $35,000. So this isn't just too much sugar for your dime. This is, please go apply for this at backtobusinessms.org and check your junk mail.
Yeah, to put that in perspective, in my conversation with Marie and Brian Sanderson talking about the Mississippi 30-Day Fund, so, $3,000. It's going to a lot of like 1 and 2 man, man and women operations. But when you think about it, $3,000 could be literally enough to keep someone's doors open. Can you imagine what $35,000 means to a business at this stage of the game? Again, we're not new to this. We saw programs after Katrina that were just slow and clunky, because when you're doing something that's never been done before, you're putting new programs together that never been done before, building the mechanism to make sure the fulfillment's right. To do it well, you got to do it masterfully, and it's hard to do something like that from scratch.
Sure. And I think that goes back to the lessons learned. And I think it also goes for me, what I've heard termed as a God thing. I'm beginning to think that it is not a coincidence that in 2005, my position was executive director of the Red Cross, Southeast Mississippi Red Cross chapter here in Jackson and George counties. And now in 2020, in another unprecedented event that's also now in the smack dab in the active season of the hurricanes, that I'm here in this position, because I certainly every day use my experience from my Red Cross days in this job. It just may look a little different, but it's transferable for sure.
So it's interesting. You guys have really been working hard to help these businesses who have applied for this money, and it is unfortunately interesting that some of the solutions to what the next step in their application process could be as simple as them checking their junk mail. That's really unfortunate.
Yes, and my awakening to that this week, as we just reached back after talking with Senator Wiggins, and we reached back with someone, they're like, oh, there it is. I thought, oh, wait, we're dealing with a small group of 24 people, and we've got this much in 24 people. What does that look like? So I'm going to be talking to Senator Wiggins about maybe we need a check your junk mail campaign. But yeah, we're also pushing the 30-day fund, just trying to get the information out. What Marie and Brian are doing is fantastic. And again, at these meetings I've been attending, they're beaten down. They're not necessarily technologically savvy. We know that can be a generational issue. It can be all kinds of issues, just personality on whether you like tech or not. And it's hard to get those people motivated to just, oh, please try. And that we're here to help hold their hand and walk them through it.
What's interesting, of course, the Mississippi 30-Day Fund that Brian and Marie are doing is statewide. But what's interesting about it is it's not like, and we've had several conversations about this, it's not like a hurricane came and then left, and then we're sort of in this like aftermath of the hurricane and help. It's like the pandemic situation is like this eye of the storm sitting on top of us. We still don't know what's on the other side of it yet. And what happens is the longer the eye sits on us, which it could be for a while, businesses continue to be impacted. And what they are seeing is that the need is so significant. I mean, it is significant. And so they've got so many applications that they have received, and then only so much money to be able to distribute. They announced a big
I saw
contribution
that
this
Kellogg.
Past week. Yeah, from Kellogg, $150,000 from Kellogg.
Yeah,
and they've had Sanderson Farms and others that have really come in. That's great to see. But I said to them, I bet they never thought when they started this that they were going to be in it for literally the long haul. I hope that they're able to find either the MEC or someone they can pass it to, because this needs to be there for a while. And what they're doing is just, as I talk about on the show all the time, they are members of the 1,000 Points of Light. They found where there are the grants that have been developed so far. There are those that may not qualify. So this is an opportunity to kind of fill some gaps, especially in those really, really super small businesses And the entrepreneurs that are doing incredible work, they might be artists, they fit all kinds. It could be a barbershop, could be any kind of business.
Well, and Ricky, what that reminds me of is we're having, amidst this pandemic, we're having a 1,000 points of light in downtown Pascagoula right now, and the chamber is very involved as one of the stakeholders, along with Main Street Pascagoula and the city and even the county and the Economic Development Foundation, the Pascagoula Redevelopment Authority. And we're seeing Scranton's, a longtime restaurant, 38 years, a mainstay, I'm sure you've eaten there, in downtown Pascagoula. And owners Richard Chenoweth and Jack Pickett have chosen to take this time, as Richard says, to find opportunity amidst the chaos to renovate and change it.
Let's do this. We're going to come to the break. When we come back, though, so innovative, and I want to let's continue the conversation about
because they're not the only one.
Yeah, this real opportunity. So this is Paige Roberts from the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce, and we'll be back right after this break.
Get out of the house and over to Big Play today. 2 massive arcades, bowling, go-karts, 2 mini golf courses, a 2-story state-of-the-art laser tag arena, bumper cars, and right now get a $50 game card for only $25. Visit our station's Facebook and print on demand so you can play at Big Play Entertainment Center now. These deals won't last long, so make sure you get your half-off deal. Big Play Entertainment Center, Highway 90, Biloxi. Bowl, play, eat. Go to our station's Facebook to get your half-off deal now.
What decisions are being made by state lawmakers, and how will they affect you, your family, and community? If you listen, you'll know. SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk app, and at supertalk.fl.
Hi, I'm Billy Kinder, host of Big Billy Kinder Outdoors here, the show Saturdays at 1, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Turkeys, whitetail, Grenada Lake crappie, or Gulfport redfish. We enjoy it all, especially when you're in camp with us on SuperTalk Mississippi.
You could be spreading the coronavirus without realizing you have it, so do your part and stay home. It's important to limit in-person interaction with anyone outside of your immediate household, but phone and video chat are safe ways to connect. It's also important to limit social gatherings. If you need essential items like food and medicine, try using a delivery service. If you must leave your house for essential items, or if you want to take a walk for exercise, make sure to wear a cloth face covering. Stay at least 6 feet away from other people. Try not to frequently touch surfaces like light signals, street signs, or benches. And wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds as often as possible. This advice applies to people of any age, including teens and younger adults. It takes all of us to slow the spread of the coronavirus, so stay home unless absolutely necessary. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else.
Hey, want to come work for the #1 radio group on the coast? TeleSouth Media has a great opportunity for an outside sales consultant. Get paid while having fun and work in the exciting, fast-paced world of radio. We have award-winning stations like 97.9 CPR Rocks, 105.9 The Monkey, G96.7, SuperTalk 103.1, and 103.5 The Possum. Take the first step towards a new and rewarding career. Submit your resume to Jesse at telesouth.com. That's JESSE at telesouth.com. TeleSouth Media is an equal employment opportunity employer.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Well, Welcome back to Coast View. We have Paige Roberts, who is with the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce. She's the leader there, doing a terrific job. A really good friend of mine and the show. Somebody you just got to check in with on a regular basis to see what's going on. And so when we went to break, we were talking about Scranton's took this opportunity to be innovative. But they're not the only one. Let's talk through some of that.
Absolutely. So the city of Pascagoula has an urban renewal agency called the Pascagoula Redevelopment Authority. And people around downtown that want to develop their piece of property go to the PRA and ask for assistance. And that, along with other incentives, can lead you to a project like Scranton's. That's exactly what Richard Chenoweth is doing. As he says, he is finding the opportunity in the chaos, and they are redoing the restaurant bar area downstairs and including a new marketplace where you'll be able to grab any of the dishes you could grab at Scranton's for later. So they say, come in for lunch, take dinner home, as well as breads and oils and salad dressings and all of that in a new marketplace. And then upstairs, they're building 4 apartments, and they were able to get a historic tax credit. The man who is behind the curtain of all of this is Chris Chain. He is a well-known historic downtown developer across the state, based out of Columbus, Mississippi. And this is a cascading effect. So when he leaves Scranton's, he's going to be starting on the Oddfellows building that currently has Off the Hook, and they're going to have 5 apartments and retail space. And then there is the new City Center project. That's the old Hancock Bank building, and we're going to have a new innovation center, and we have new properties that were just recently bought in also in downtown by Scranton's that are going to be mixed use. So I am working on a map. I'm helping coordinate a lot of these projects with a group of stakeholders. And the map we're working on shows 16 projects, anywhere from proposed to completed, in what we're calling the flagship district.
So, Paige, I would really encourage you, if you're not already doing this, a way to attract, let's say, mixed use. I had a great conversation with Ben Brown. If you didn't see it, you need to watch it. His claim to fame is he worked with Andreas Joani, and he's a new urbanist community and all that. But
yes.
we had a conversation about mixed use. There's huge mixed use developments that have been announced for Biloxi. There's one in talks in Gulfport.
Correct.
But if you have a larger than normal project, it can be expensive. And I call it the X plus Y equals a lot of money. X is the requirements of insurance because of us being in a flood zone and fortification and all that, plus just the basic requirements of mixed use. To do mixed use, it entails more than just building some apartments. Obviously, it's about creating an active center. It's about exactly. So there's a lot of cost involved. So these could be terrific projects that could qualify for BP money. So if you're not already going down that route.
The City Center is funded partially through that last round of Gulf Coast Restore funding, and the Innovation Center. And PRA's, some of PRA's money that they've been helping these 16 projects with came from BP money. So yes, we have been able to really use that to our benefit in what's really transforming our downtown.
Paige, what we know is the new economy and the creative class, they can live, work, and play just about anywhere. They want to be able to do that, and they don't want to live in a rural area that most don't. They want to live downtown, as Eric Hill from the Center for Entrepreneurship at Mississippi State University says. They want to live somewhere where they can find a spouse. So you want to build the kind of environment that they want to live in, and they will come. It's a build it and they will come scenario. Sounds like Mr. Chain has figured that out.
Yes, well, he's actually been doing this since the 80s, but as he said, in Columbus, he has a waiting list of people who want these apartments. And it's because what follows is what you said, the bars, the restaurants, the activity areas, the fun. And so, people struggle with the chicken and the egg. Do you bring the residents? Do you bring the businesses? And they're really saying that it's the the residents, bring the people downtown, and it will all unfold. And the spigot is open in Pascagoula right now.
Yeah, you see what's happened in Ocean Springs. You see, you see downtown Bay St. Louis. You see really incredible opportunities for downtown Gulfport, especially downtown Gulfport, because of what they're doing with the blue economy down in the port and all of the possibilities there. Of course, Biloxi, the same kind of scenario, but the conversation.
Speaking of the blue economy, just a minute, that also flows, no pun intended, into Jackson County with all of our marine stuff over here, which is more of the shipbuilding. But we have the riverfront and the defense contractors, and it's all starting to flow together, which is the intent of this funding, and what we might be able to become because of it, while never forgetting, of course, that it all originated with that explosion that killed 11 people, and that we have to respect that too.
What is, I can't agree more, for sure. What is so important, though, and I think Jackson County is a great example of this, that if you take coastal Mississippi as a whole, we are doing well in manufacturing jobs. We're doing really well in sort of the travel and tourism and service jobs. Where we need to do better is in the jobs that are in between, the technology jobs and all of that. But if you look at Jackson County and you have a conversation with George Freeland, you realize that the strategic opportunities going forward are very much in the high-tech area. And
look at Northrop Grumman, that's in Moss Point. That's all unmanned systems and high tech. We'd tell you, but we'd have to kill you a time.
But the people who work in these technology jobs, these are the people who want to live in a downtown mixed-use kind of a development.
Yes, and so you'll also seeing Chevron is bringing some of those workers out of the refinery and into downtown. I mean, we have those workers. They've just been tucked away at the shipyard or, behind gates of some kind. And so that's one of the things that's going on here also.
It's so exciting to hear. I mean, I know that after Katrina, it was talked about, but, when your whole city goes underwater, and you're just trying to, get your lead manufacturing facilities like Ingalls and Chevron back up and running, and all the ancillary businesses that were impacted. It's hard to freeze frame it for a minute and say, how do we dream bigger? Sometimes, one of the things that what Ben and I talked about, it just takes time. It takes time and it takes patience. So it's great to see all the pieces are starting to fall into place now.
Yeah, and I would say about the dream bigger, it's sometimes hard for people to dream big when their basic needs are ripped out from under them, right? And so whether it was Hurricane Katrina and our physical spaces, or the pandemic and the health threat and the economic threat, well, that, it's hard for the body and the brain to absorb all of that and think big too. So that goes back to the resiliency and let's take a breath and figure out where we're going strategically.
So what's going to happen, Paige? As we've discussed before, the trends that were in place before the pandemic, those are just going to get sped up. So the whole discussion around remote, the ability to work remotely and pick the community you want to live in, you may find that some of the people who move into these apartments are actually working for a company in Washington, D.C. or New York, because they're just able to do it remotely.
Sure. Well, and before I took this job, I live in Goche. I was running programs and flying off to all parts of the country, working on stuff just from a computer in my house. So it's absolutely what that is.
It's amazing. We only have like a minute left, but I'm just curious, anything we're missing? What do we need to talk about the next time we get together?
Oh, gosh. Well, it's I think still how the chambers and any groups that are event oriented are trying to have normalcy, and we're seeing it with the schools and football and just how do we continue to move our way through this, because we are in this for the long haul, as you mentioned, into next year.
It's not going to be a moment when somebody screams all clear, the eye has passed and everything's good. We're going to have to learn to operate in this pandemic environment, and we'll get to a vaccine moment, but even then it's not automatic. The important message we keep telling people is we want our economy to thrive. We got to practice social distancing, wear a face mask, keep the numbers down. All the hospital administrators I talked to, and we've had them on the show recently, are concerned about the current numbers, even though they plateaued, coupled with flu season coming. Man, we got to. People have got to be careful.
Oh, absolutely. And the masks are so fashionable now that you can wear them with any outfit. Yeah.
They really are. They really are. So, Paige, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time. We'll be back to you in about 3 or 4 weeks, and we'll continue the conversation. Stay safe.
Yes, you too, and stay well.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Be sure to go by this station's website and check out the half-off deals. Audubon Zoo tickets for just $15. That's half price. $30 zoo tickets for just $15. Again, go to this station's website or Facebook. Look for the half-off deals logo to purchase yours now.
Heart attacks and strokes don't stay home. So don't avoid the ER out of anxiety. Don't die of doubt. If you have an emergency, call 911. When seconds count, the hospital is the safest place to be.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter, has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard, and, all this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
There's a place to share gossip about the office party fun, and a place to share the story you tell everyone. There's a place to share a laugh about when things went wrong, and a place to share the video of you dancing to your song. There's a place to share spare change, lunch, and your time. But we could all be better at sharing how we're feeling inside. 76% of employees have struggled with at least one issue that affected their mental health. When you share, you're not alone.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi, and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
This is House Call for Health. There may be no greater medical mystery and no greater tragedy than sudden infant death syndrome. It used to be known as crib death. For no apparent reason, a presumably healthy sleeping baby dies. Medical experts don't have clear-cut answers to what causes sudden infant death, or SIDS, but now they have 2 risk factors: smoking and drinking during pregnancy, beyond the first 3 months. A new study finds that babies whose mothers drank alcohol and smoked tobacco after the first trimester are at far greater risk of SIDS, 12 times greater. Previous studies showed a risk of smoking and drinking individually. This study says doing both drastically increases the danger. The research is sponsored by the National Institutes of Health, which is calling for greater publicity about the danger and improved screening at the very beginning of a pregnancy. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
You could be spreading the coronavirus without realizing you have it, so do your part and stay home. It's important to limit in-person interaction with anyone outside of your immediate household, but phone and video chat are safe ways to connect. It's also important to limit social gatherings. If you need essential items like food and medicine, try using a delivery service. If you must leave your house for essential items, or if you want to take a walk for exercise, make sure to wear a cloth face covering. Stay at least 6 feet away from other people. Try not to touch frequently touched surfaces like light signals, street signs, or benches. And wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds as often as possible. This advice applies to people of any age, including teens and younger adults. It takes all of us to slow the spread of the coronavirus, so stay home unless absolutely necessary. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
Whether you're a Rebel, a Bulldog, a Golden Eagle, or just a sports fan, SuperTalk Mississippi has got a podcast for you. For you. Sports Talk Mississippi, The Rebel Report, Thunder and Lightning, The SuperTalk Eagle Hour, and The Borky Show are all now available for you. And it's all free. Get them all on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for SuperTalk on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. What decisions are being made by state lawmakers, and how will they affect you, your family, and community? If you listen, you'll know. SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk app, and at supertalk.fm.
Hi, I'm Billy Kinder, host of Big Billy Kinder Outdoors here, the show Saturdays at 1, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Turkeys, whitetail, Grenada Lake crappie, or Gulfport redfish. We enjoy it all, especially when you're in camp with us on SuperTalk Mississippi.
He's the former president and publisher of the Sun Herald, and now he's on the radio. Welcome to Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. That was a terrific conversation with Paige Roberts. As I say every time I have this opportunity, when I talk to a chamber leader, it's always really important because they understand what's happening at the ground level. They're constantly listening to their members, and they have a really good feel for what's happening. Really good feel. Hey, in the last few days, I had a conversation with Cal about TeleSouth, the company that actually owns SuperTalk. And one of the points was people always ask me, after doing a career in newspapers, what is it like to actually work with a radio station? A company, a radio station we used to compete against all the time. I mean, it's just incredible to be here. I'm here because I want to make a difference. I want to be part of helping SuperTalk Mississippi and through 103.1. I want to contribute toward shining the light on the best of coastal Mississippi, and it's been incredible. I went and checked last night, incidentally, Kyle, and the number of shows that we've done is like 250 plus. I didn't have the number right before. It's incredible. We've had that many different conversations, but it's a really special company that I'm working with now in this limited capacity with Coastview, because they own several different radio stations, and SuperTalk, which is a network of 12 stations across the state, is just a part of it. And I wanted to invite someone else from the station to the conversation. No one's asked me to have this conversation. I'm doing this entirely on my own. You should know that. That's the beauty of this Coastview show that I've developed. I have 100% editorial authority of what I cover and what I don't cover, but I'm still learning myself more and more about this company. I've asked Jesse Alvarez, who is head of sales for TeleSouth Gulf Coast, to join me, and I just want to talk to him about what's going on these days. How are you doing, Jesse?
Man, I'm doing good, sitting here in your old chair.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. We just got that studio right. We really made some terrific changes to it to make it, give it the Coastview brand. And then the pandemic hits. Yeah. And so we're not going to be back in the studio for quite a while. So we're doing this remotely, and it's working really well. And I appreciate you joining me kind of on the spur of the moment, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. When I got the text, I said, absolutely, I want to help out any which way I can.
So tell me, what do you do? Tell me about what you do and the stations you represent. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, generically, you could say my job is to generate revenue for TeleSouth on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. So, I'll just say, Primarily, I have people that are underneath me that I'm just trying to help train them and get them up and running in a sales environment. So training them on the radio stations, training them on the digital assets that we offer, teaching them the proper ways to go through a CNA or through a meeting, and then drive revenue for TeleSouth through our radio stations and through some of our digital stuff. So
one of the things,
big picture, that's it.
Yeah, one of the things that that Kyle and I talked about was the key to, first of all, looking at radio numbers and strength of radio is a little surprise to me because, all media is challenged in this digital age, but radio is really holding its own, whereas newspapers and others are maybe struggling. In this particular case, though, the vision for TeleSouth is so solid, and at the center of it is a news operation, a statewide news operation that feeds into these 20-something stations across the state and here in coastal Mississippi that really focuses on making sure that we're reflecting the community to the best of our ability. That's how Coastview was born, through SuperTalk Gulf Coast, is creating this opportunity to celebrate coastal Mississippi in this really hyper-local kind of show. But they, Steve Davenport, the guy who owns this company, and Kim Dillon, the president of the company, really get how the radio stations are weaved into the fabric of this community. It's funny because I used to say the same thing about the newspaper, and newspapers change, unfortunately, over the years. Is that the way you see it too?
Absolutely, man. And I wouldn't say that it's radio as a whole is weaved into the fabric of a community like that. Generally, it's TeleSouth. It is Kim. It is Steve. They're what make the difference, because I've worked for small independents in Mobile, Alabama. I worked for a very large conglomerate over in the Destin, Pensacola Panhandle area. And while they were all good companies and good people, it's just a different feeling when you're with Kim and Steve. Even when I moved back to the Gulf Coast in 2010, we were Triad Media back then, and it had a smaller feel to it, but the owners really weren't that involved the way that Kim and Steve are, and you didn't feel that support. You feel that now. And I tell people, I know it sounds cheesy, but you can genuinely tell they care about you.
Yeah, what you're seeing is, big, gigantic radio companies, buying more and more channels and becoming as huge, as you pointed out, conglomerates. But what's so unique about TeleSouth is that it's a Mississippi company, and it is literally in the four corners and in between in this state. And, I said this when I was talking to Cal the other day, that if a key leader in this state, whether it's private sector or public sector leader, has something important they want to talk about, they go to SuperTalk. That's just the reality of it. And then one of the things that I was so pleased to learn more about is the news operation that TeleSouth had, and that it plays out through the SuperTalk network and through all the other radio stations. It's just an incredibly well put together company. And I'm privileged in my small role to kind of be a part of it all. But in this pandemic world, though, radio actually is really important to advertisers, because you guys can actually turn on the dime, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Last night, as a matter of fact, I was at my house getting some stuff done, and I get an email from a client that says, we need to get a message out tomorrow. If we get you orders and copy first thing in the morning, can you get us on the air by 10 a.m.? And of course, the answer is yes. I mean, that is one of radio's biggest features, is that we have such a quick turnaround. So I shot our team an email and just said, hey guys, be on the lookout. I got some stuff coming down the pipe. We need to get it on by 10 a.m. tomorrow. And of course, they said, absolutely, we'll get it done. So yeah. Right now, when information is key and it changes so quickly, whether it's through a storm or through a pandemic, we can make it happen in minutes.
Well, it is incredible. Where you can produce commercials in a short period of time. You can have live reads of information. You can do branding. The opportunities are limitless. But at the core of this, though, is a company that really gets the local community, that really understands how all these pieces fit together, and that we're going to be successful if we're constantly focused on doing what's right for the community. Like, for example, these hurricanes that threaten coastal Mississippi. We can give you the latest information. We're doing it through the Facebook pages, through all the other digital assets that we have, and we're doing it through the radio as well. We talk about radio, but we're kind of a multimedia company. So this show actually can be seen on Facebook, can be seen on YouTube, can be seen on all the popular podcast platforms. And then, of course, you can hear it on 103.1. Jesse, you guys actually have a job fair coming up here pretty soon. Tell me about that.
Yeah, September 2nd at Edgewater Mall. We dubbed it the $1 Million Job Fair. We were sitting around in Kenny Vest's office, and Tic Tac and all of his brilliance walked in and said, you guys should do something around $1 million. Like it's your job to find $1 million and get that back out. And I looked at Kenny and I go, that's it, the $1 Million Job Fair. And so we wanted to do is, again, you talk about speed, how quick can radio get things done? This was an idea we had, not this past Friday, but the Friday before that. And within 72 hours, we were on the air promoting it, taking vendors, moving this thing right along.
So it's going to be at Edgewater Mall, and the mall has actually worked with you. I've only heard little bits and pieces about it. You have lots of space, so you can do social distancing. I've actually offered. I'm curious, and what I'm going to do is invite Ashley Edwards on from the Coast Business Council to talk about sort of the job situation in coastal Mississippi, and then I actually want to interview some of the companies that are going to be involved in the job fair, so I can get a better understanding of what their challenges are and what sort of the outlook is. But how's the participation been so far?
Great. Before I walked in here, we already had 16 vendors signed up, or 16 employers already signed up, and I would say another 20 that gave us verbals that said they're just going to send the paperwork back in. And the response has been through the roof. I mean, you got to think, again, we've only been doing this for a week. We hit the airwaves last Monday, running commercials, asking employers to come in, and it's just been through the roof so far.
So I think the key is working with the mall to create a setup here that enables the employers and those who come from the general public that are interested in talking to these employers, they can practice social distancing, wear a face mask, and be safe doing so, because the economy does go on. Hey, why don't we do this, Jesse? If you don't mind, you can join me for the final segment for a second, and let's continue this, because I think it's really important for the community that we talk about that life goes on as we continue to keep the economy rolling, and despite what some people may think, there are jobs out there, and this is an opportunity for us to match employers with potential employees. We'll be back after this break.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook. Facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.
SuperTalk. Nobody keeps Mississippi informed like we do. With 12 stations covering all 82 counties. If it happens in your state, we're on top of it. The news, the weather, the sports, and the talk that's important to you. The issues that matter to you, your family, and your bank account. It's all right here. And when you're away from home, depend on the SuperTalk app and supertalk.fm to stay in the know. We're proud to serve our fellow Mississippians. SuperTalk Mississippi.
We know that we're asking Americans to do a lot right now. So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible to this virus.
A question I often get asked is, why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
Social distancing is really physical separation of people.
It's what we refer to when we ask people to stay at least 6 feet apart.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants, not going to theaters where there are a lot of people. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others who might actually be infected or infect you.
We all have a role to play in preventing person-to-person spread of this disease, which can be deadly for vulnerable groups. For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. career with the fabulous Norbert Putnam as he played on so many hit records, you can't count them, and produced for some of the biggest acts ever. Norbert, Elvis.
And I want to tell you about Presley. He had two different voices. He would sit and talk to me in a very calm, low voice. And we were at Stack's one night, and we were having lunch. We always had lunch at midnight because he was nocturnal. We sat there and we have our sandwiches, and at 1 o'clock, he looked up. He said, "Hey, Pot, come on, it's time for me to go beat Elvis." And he stood up, and a much deeper voice, he put on his macho voice. "Hey, fellas, it's 1 o'clock. Let's get cracking, okay?"
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, Amazon Alexa, and now on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
It's me, you, anyone that wants to be. There is no typical firefighter.
Everyone knows the only thing better than pizza is free pizza, and right now, buy a $10 gift certificate to CiCi's Pizza for only $5. It's like buying a pizza and getting a pizza for free. Go to our station's website or Facebook. Look for the Half Off Deals logo to purchase this amazing deal right now.
We give HPV vaccine to children at 11 or 12 years of age. I have 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls, and I've given the vaccine to all of them.
Get out of the house and over to Big Play today. 2 massive arcades, bowling, go-karts, 2 mini golf courses, a 2-story state-of-the-art laser tag arena, bumper cars, and right now get a $50 game card for only $25. Visit our station's Facebook and print on demand so you can play at Big Play Entertainment Center now. These deals won't last long, so make sure you get your half-off deal. Big Play Entertainment Center, Highway 90, Biloxi. Bowl, play, eat. Go to our station's Facebook to get your half-off deal now.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. I have Jesse Alvarez with us today. He's the sales manager for TeleSouth. I invited him in because I've been having this conversation about radio. You know, I spent my entire career in newspapers. But the last 10 years of my life was involved in digital transformation and sort of at the highest level. And so I know media really well. And it's been kind of a breath of fresh air for me to have this opportunity to work for TeleSouth, to be able to do this show, and to sort of learn more about the role that radio plays in the local community. It's pretty cool. So anyway, we were talking about the job fair when we went to the break. And, you know, you guys are really focused on putting this together. Again, you pointed out, it's been a very short period of time. You know, did you just run commercials? How did you get so much response so quick, Jesse?
Yeah, really, it started by running a pretty aggressive radio campaign. So we hit the airwave on Monday with it. Before the majority of us even got to work Monday morning, the commercials were already hitting. And within an hour, we started getting emails from different employers wanting to be a part of it.
Wow, that's really awesome. And you're focused, as I pointed out, on doing it in a way that everyone can be safe. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, well, so one of the reasons we chose Edgewater Mall was Terry is awesome to work with anytime that we have a big event. He's always on board with whatever we want to do. But they were amazing, man. They gave us free reign of the entire mall. They said, you guys take up as much space as you need to make sure that your employers feel comfortable and that people that are coming feel comfortable attending. So if you guys need to take up the entire area where the rock wall and carousel are, have it. If you guys need these hallways going down, take them. If y'all want to wrap this thing all the way around to the food court, please do whatever you guys need to do. Even the spaces that we have that are empty, if you guys want to set up areas in there to make employers feel more comfortable, take it. So yeah, as you know, the mall's massive and we have as much space as we can possibly take.
Well, that's terrific. It's Terry Powell, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Terry's been there and he's done a great job at that mall. It's wonderful to see that you've got such a good partner in him.
Absolutely.
So, but it is true. There are jobs out there, and I think because there's been so much fluctuation. There's been, some layoffs. There's been some furloughs. There have been some people that may not have been quick to come back to work because you've had that $600 rider on it from the federal government. Whatever the reason, there are dynamics in the market right now that have created some openings, and people need to hear this message. There's an opportunity, and this is a chance for us to get you face to face with some potential employers.
Right. So that's the whole reason this thing came about we deal with hundreds of businesses, right? And all of them are saying the same thing. We want to operate more. We want to do, and the money is out there. We just don't have the staff to execute. And so when we saw that problem, and then we knew that this pandemic unemployment money was going to be expiring pretty soon, we thought, how can we help both of these people come together and do something? And like most things in life, you don't know what you don't know unless someone tells you. And so again, we're sitting around thinking, how can we help these two parties come together? Well, let's have a job fair. And originally, I'm not going to lie, we thought, let's just go out there, let's get a list of all the jobs, we'll post them to all of our websites, we'll run commercials, and we'll just tell people, go to our radio station's website for more information on this company and this job. And then we thought, why don't we go out and be in the community? And again, Tic Tac in his brilliance, he's the program director for G96.7, said, y'all need to do $1 million worth of jobs. And I just looked at Kenny Vest and I go, that's it, the $1 million job fair.
Tic Tac's a smart guy. I brought the book that I wrote the forward to, Haley Barber's book on Hurricane Katrina and leadership after Hurricane Katrina, and I put it on the studio desk right there where you are. And he picked it up on a Friday, and maybe it was Monday or maybe it was overnight. He read the book and came back in the next day and said, man, I read this book last night. I hope you don't mind me borrowing it, but my gosh. And he goes and makes all these observations. I said, man, this dude, he's firing on a bunch of cylinders, isn't he?
Yeah. The night that he got your book, he came into my office and was already reading excerpts from the book about it. Yeah. He operates at 10,000%.
You know what, man, you guys have so many, I would say talented, innovative people that have been part of this company for so long. It's just cool to be able to reach out to someone like him and have an idea like that emerge. And really, at the end of the day, it's about listening to the economy, listening to your customers, listening to where the opportunities are, and then putting all that together in a way that can put TeleSouth and our stations in the midst of it all. Hey, we're getting close to the end now. Remind people what are the stations that you represent?
So we have 105.9 The Monkey. We have 103.5 The Possum, 103.1 SuperTalk, 97.9 CPR Rocks, and then G96.7. So those are the 5 radio stations that we have down here on the coast, just for the Biloxi, Gulfport, Pascagoula market.
And you have the ability to sell into stations all across the state. So if somebody wants to reach the rest of the state, Jesse's in a position to be able to do that. And they're a force to be reckoned with all the way across the state. It's been great for me to learn about this because after doing a career in media, I'm like a sponge like everybody else. I want to learn more about it. And Jesse, I appreciate you on a short notice coming in to join me. I want to remind people, I'm the one who chose Jesse to say, hey, let me get on your show and tell about this job fair. I invited him because I just think it's important for people to learn the kind of commitment that TeleSouth has to this community. And when it happens this way, when it's impromptu like this, I think it means a lot more. So anyway, Jesse, thank you so much for joining me.
Man, thank you for the support. We really appreciate it.
You bet, buddy. You bet. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Take care.